Hey everyone, welcome to Powertime. Let's have a listen to what's on today's show.
It's been insane, in all honesty. So yeah, like I said, I used to work on Power Virtual Agents before Copilot Studio, and when we'd work with customers, we used to say 9 months was an acceptable time for a project because of the time of development. It was low code, it was drag and drop. And then ChatGPT came out from OpenAI, and then conversational AI, one, became very popular again, and two, it completely disrupted how we built these applications. So this agent automatically looks across all their suppliers, does a market analysis to see their revenue, their market share, all those sort of things, and then gives you a recommendation on the supplier.
And I kind of said to him throughout the interview that maybe we got the name right first with Power Virtual Agent.
Let's get into it.
Powertime. Get ready, let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to Power Time. My name is Scott Meddings and I'm joined here with my co-host, Mr. Matt Noble. Matt, busy week this week. What's been happening? Easter break, yeah, for both of us. It was great to have a few days off. What have you been up to?
It's been good to catch up. Good to catch up on more like admin and some of our go-to-market stuff, to be honest, because a lot of customers have obviously taken advantage of the break. Yeah. So for those who don't know, and potentially some of the USA listeners, we've had a 4-day long weekend last week.
Yep.
Into 3 days back at work, into another long weekend this weekend with Anzac Day, which is a pretty great day in Australia. So I'm going to the dawn service tomorrow, first time in Sydney.
Awesome.
Pretty
Fantastic.
excited about that.
Yep.
And then you'll see me at a local watering hole playing 2-up mostly all day. That's what I'll be doing.
Good luck. Good luck.
Wish me luck,
Yeah.
heads or tails. For those who don't know, I always go with heads. Just like I always go with black at the casino when it comes to red and black. I stick with one side and that's it. So,
I'll watch your winning
me luck.
progress over the next 12 months and see if it's a winning formula.
Yeah, let's see. But no, it's an exciting time. Lots of recent updates as well to keep on track of. I'm consistently refreshing my LinkedIn and X. I'm going to call it Twitter, but it's obviously called X now. Always refreshing my feeds to see some of the recent updates. And one of the ones that's exciting is, I'm going to say it's what's computer use. Yeah,
Yes.
This is one of the interesting ones that's come out. Yeah.
Yeah. Web scraping in Copilot Studio, almost like the removal of RPA now. You can go ahead and just go look at this web page and it will learn and it doesn't need that kind of guided experience that we had to do before with RPA. Brings into the topic of, it's an RPA killer, I'd say, right? Like I'm not sure. When I talk to a lot of customers right now about an RPA, let's debug the acronym. Robotic Process Automation was a hit in the, I want to say, 2015-ish. Would it be that far back that it would have been a massive hit?
Yeah.
Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these kind of guys. And so Microsoft made a forte by acquiring Softomotive quite a few years ago now, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and just brought that into the Power Platform, and it just became another feature, right? And we became famous pretty quickly because it was just another feature of Power Automate. It was about 10x on average, 10x cheaper than going with a pure play RPA provider. So for the last kind of 4 years, we've been pretty busy just going around talking to customers about why you paid for all this. We're in the top of the Gartner, you may as well save some money. And it's been quite effective. A lot of customers have migrated to Power Automate Desktop, which was the old Softomotive acquisition. So that's been a really great thing for customers, right? Or they could access something that was a premium before now at a much cheaper rate. But now we're going into something different, because now it's kind of like, do we even need RPA anymore if we've got, AI tools that can just do a lot of those processes and web scraping? I agree. I think the whole RPA side of things is probably gone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think RPA has been really quite structured. Yeah. So if a field moves or a field name changes or something like that, when you're building out your RPA process or framework initially, then it's going to cause an issue. Yeah. Because it's just a structure. It's just following like monkey see, monkey do. It's just going through like this. And if you deviate off this path, it's going to potentially cause some problems when it comes to that. So what this new feature allows you to do is have that added intelligence. Yeah? If a button moves or a field name changes, and the AI can work out that it's the same thing, it's going to keep going down that path, and obviously complete that process. So it's going to be really, really impactful. And I think when Sanya was over here, she was kind of alluding to this as well. We were kind of aware of some of this stuff coming. I think it's operator infused into Copilot Studio, if for what I call it, and what I've seen and stuff like that. It's the same thing as OpenAI operator, which is really cool. Which you can go and book flights and stuff like this. With OpenAI operator, it can go in and identify and all of this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of really cool things you can kind of do with this technology, but. Yeah, it's a really interesting time for RPA. Yeah, it's going to be kind of moving towards this more intelligent Copilot Studio, agent world, agent model, all this kind of stuff. So well, it just adds more strength, doesn't it, to the Copilot brand? And we've been on 4 days worth of kind of wrapping up today on agent training, and the amount of agents that are coming out that are going to do automated processes for customers looks really good. There's a lot of them. I think we'll see probably the first half of next financial. So this is the end of Microsoft's financial year is coming up. So it's a very busy quarter for us in being Q4 coming. And, for us, that means, I don't know, most people are aware, but 3/4, I think it is, of the revenue lands in Q4 for Microsoft. So it's pretty hectic. So we start our planning now. So right now I'm looking with the team at, what does Q1 look like next year? Or what are we going to go after? And, like we predicted, actually, I think it was one of your predictions in January, that it's going to be the year of agents. We're starting to see, the fruition of that, right? Which is show us an agent that actually can go and get stuff done. And, this is just all part of that journey. And, the use cases we'd use RPA for were particularly ones that didn't have an API for that. So green screen maybe ordering from a third-party SaaS site. There was a use case with quite a large retailer in Australia that I was speaking to a year or two ago about this use case where they, through one of their distributors, they have this order site where they actually got to pay someone, comes online, an online order, but they actually have to pay someone to sit there and get those online orders because they can't connect it to the ordering site at the third party company, right? So kind of imagine you go order a dishwasher online, and it's like, well, how do we connect that to, the maker to do the order? And at that point, it broke and you had to have a manual person. It wasn't that retailer, incidentally. So hopefully not.
Yeah. And so it so at that point you then would go, well, let's look at RPA, which is great, right? Because there's no API for that particular product, right? Or that site. Yeah. But the problem is, what happens when they, in a year's time, update that site, or or that model doesn't exist any longer, and that another model comes. So to maintain that process is a fair bit of work, right? So it might work for a short period.
100%.
So I'm seeing that this kind of software fixes a lot of those problems. So, hopefully, it's early days. It's just released. But hopefully we can see, what that looks like over time and if it can solve some of those bigger problems and more complex problems. But if anyone wants to check that out, that feature, so
we'll put a link,
Yeah,
we'll put a link.
I'll put a link in the description. Yeah. Charles did a really nice blog. I'm looking at it right now, actually, on how it works. So when there's a little demo and things in there, so they can just go and click on that, which is cool. So big news with OpenAI, they dropped another model, Matt, while we were on holidays. Yeah. another week, another model. Was it 03?
You mean a week ago?
A week ago.
Oh, yeah, I know about that one.
Yeah, 03 Mini.
Yeah. I thought you meant today.
Not today.
I'm just going back from boxing. I'm like,
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny, like you just assume that, because they're coming out so fast. Looks pretty good. I've been doing a lot with the 03 Mini. I
have too, actually. Yeah.
I must admit, the research function works great, but I'm fast becoming a bit of an AI connoisseur when it comes to the different models. Like if I have to ask a question,
AI snob.
because if I have to ask a question that I know it's going to think about, I go, I can't be bothered waiting for you to think, right? Like, it's take too long. Even though I tell you about 10 seconds.
You're hating on AI.
Yeah. Just go, I don't want you to think. Just give me the answer, and I'll go back to 4.0.
See where that lands.
Yeah, and I'll go back to 4.0, and I'll just give me the answer straight away. So and the more you use it, the more you kind of get used to the different models and how they operate and things like that. But it's certainly, and I always wonder, does the new model help with hallucinations? So, I think Cursor this week got in a bit of trouble because one of their AI service agents created a ticket for an incident that didn't happen. So they had an hallucination.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Did you not see that?
Yeah.
So they got smacked.
No.
You should look at that.
I saw some interesting people. I saw some interesting people building out like websites and stuff like that with Cursor, like just your average, citizen developer say, and they were just the security vulnerabilities were coming through. So we speak about, the dawn of, the developer's role is, up for risk. It's still going to be there. Yeah, you still need to have the base fundamentals, understanding of how to put pieces of software and solutions together. They're just going to be able to build things faster. Yep. So, this guy was tweeting about his website that he built or something. Like 2 minutes later, it was like getting hacked,
getting taken down.
Like that.
Well, that is a real
vulnerabilities.
We've spoken about this for ages, right? Like, which is, you make it easy enough, everyone's going to do it, and most people don't know what they do. What they call it vibe coding, where you just go in,
that's a new term,
move between the AI tools and just go create a website, but you really don't know what you're doing. So I think for the enterprise, which is where we work for our big customers, we don't really want them to be sitting there spinning up stuff with a credit card because it's great. But the Cursor example is a classic example of creating service tickets from an hallucination that didn't exist. And we're going to see a lot more of that over the next 12 months as we get this tech ironed out. The upside still outweighs the downside, though. I mean, that's
millions. There's no way. It's the rate of how much functionality and how much power I'm seeing. It's literally. I honestly don't know how I didn't have AI before. Because I use it, all day, to be honest, to do a lot of my day-to-day function.
It's certainly a huge.
I'm also learning to be better with it as well. I'm also learning how to use it more effectively, which I think is really cool. And that'll be fivefold next year at this time. How we're able to interact with it, all that kind of stuff. I have a random question for you. I used to be really polite to the AI and stuff like that, and say please and thanks and all of this kind of stuff. How are you when you talk to AI? Are you kind of direct down the line, or do you give AI a bit of courtesy when it comes to that? Because Sam Altman actually tweeted about this, that people being nice.
It's costing him money. It's costing him money.
It's costing him millions of dollars.
Don't be polite. I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet yesterday. Don't be polite to AI, please. It's costing us too much money. I'm going to say that I do like being polite to the AI. I do. Okay. I do like using
Sam,
my manners.
Listening? This guy's costing me money, all right?
It makes me feel better about the experience, right? And particularly if you're using advanced voice, you feel like you're talking to someone a lot of times. So just the way we've all been brought up, you don't want to be rude to it. But I will say, as I get through the iterations, so if I start with a high level one, an example is, I want to buy a new laptop. Let's compare the two. Can you please have a look at this model and that model? By the time you start getting to like 10 models in and you've done 6 different comparisons and you've narrowed it down, it's kind of like, just add more RAM to that. Just do this. You're getting really poignant with what you're saying, and you do drop the politeness off. But I haven't bended to over to rude yet, which is just do this for me.
That's right.
But maybe this is what we're walking into, a generation of people that are just going to they're going to lose their manners. It's
straight down the barrel.
Tom Cruise moment. It's just going to turn around and go, Matt, put your manners back in, mate. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Just being nice until Skynet comes, and then it reads, "Oh, Scott was nice."
Yeah. Well, I heard that. Right. A lot of people say that, mate. They say, "Look, if you're rude to the AI when it takes over, it's just going to come after you. So let's just be nice to it."
Paloma's always nuts with that AI. She's great. So shout out to Paloma. Hopefully she listens. She's great with that. So
be nice to the AI. I think that's the takeaway from this piece.
100%.
But so looking forward to the agent rollout next year. And for my team, we're really just engaging with customers and looking at the agents. We're super excited about how can these new agents. So I've had a few conversations with my team around how can we get these agents and really understand them deeply so we can take them to customers and start going, is there any business processes these align to that really make sense so we can go and solve these problems for you and really make your staff's daily grind a little bit easier. So that's That's what we're evaluating right now. Of course, process evaluation can be a complex thing and going through multiple iterations of that. And industries more for us is done through partners. And so I'm really looking forward to engaging with our partner ecosystem to understand what value they can bring around industry verticalization and align that with the agents. So we'll come up with the sales agent, but the FSI sales agent or the health sales agent, that's going to come through our partner. So I see a really exciting opportunity for you guys, Matt, and other partners in the ecosystem to really, now's the time to dust off all those old processes that we solve with a Power App or a CRM application and just have a look at the agents and see where we can use them and how we can utilize them. So,
yes, so we've been running a lot of events, so industry specific as well. It's been great. Yeah, so we did an FSI one 4 weeks ago, I think. And what really surprised me, I was never nervous to be honest, but I was like concerned that because what we do is we run these ideation sessions at the end. Everyone kind of plays back their ideas and all this kind of stuff, and I was, I didn't think the FSI people would share, because it is such a competitive industry. Everyone in the room was sharing and collaborating and all these ideas and all of that kind of stuff. It was great, There's a lot of common use cases, a lot of common agents. We're going to start building some stuff out, which is pretty cool. We already started on a couple, which is great. And then we did the same thing for retail. And again, super collaborative, We had different large-scale customers, like big customers over in Melbourne. This is why you're away on your little holiday or leave.
Yes.
We'll touch on that next day. But that's why we're doing that. So we're doing our retail event, which is really great. Same thing, really collaborative. So many common patterns. It was actually scary as well that, they come in and they ideate on the same stuff. And I was like, this is great. So great for a partner like us to come back and start to build out these common patterns. And then obviously when you deploy it to each organization, its own intricacies, its own systems and all of that kind of stuff that you need to integrate with. But there's a lot of stuff to do in that. But you're right. There's a massive opportunity for partners, particularly in that agent space. So watch this space. And if anyone's listening and needs help, please, I'm going to plug GetAI. Please reach out to me.
Shameless plug. But, I think so. The agent stuff's exciting, but I've never had so many partners reach out to me about CCAS and the contact center right now. That is lighting up as well. So as that tech gets really mature, I think the next 6 months is going to be a turning point really for contact center for us. When I look at how mature the technology is now and how long it's been running, what we're moving into now is like advanced AQM stuff. So that's quality management for those that want to decipher the acronym. That kind of stuff is really, I guess, it's really in its, I see it as infancy stage around it's still kind of data collection and reporting. But what AI can do in that space is tremendous. So I think we'll see like a reinvention of this is what we've done in 20 years in the contact center. Wow, this is what we can do when I've got a fully connected, data-driven, AI-first kind of solution. And so really exciting to see how that kind of stuff rolls out. Of course, workforce management released as well in the CCAS solution this month. So, and that came as free. You just get that with the product. I think that was an excellent move.
That's a very, very, very good move.
Yeah. And for those listening that think
they're coming hard at this, so
And for those listening, think it's just a new product. It's actually based off our field service product, so which has been in market for 10 plus years, and that provides a really stable foundation for managing resources. So super excited about that. The fact that it comes with the product is even better. So I think that's all.
It's also good for partners, because it's based on that field service stuff, and partners have to understand how field service plugs together. The uptake or upskill to understand that is quicker as well. I've done field service for some time as well, so kind of understand how it's all kind of put together. So easier for partners to adopt. So
we created what we call unified resourcing kind of piece to the portfolio a little while ago. URS, Universal Resource Scheduling.
Unified Resource Scheduling. That's the one. Yeah. There's another acronym by Microsoft.
So many acronyms. Get your head around. But so basically this, we can just leverage this now in a whole bunch of different products. You can actually leverage it if you want to do a model-driven app. So, which is the engine that kind of powers field service, which is good. So that's super exciting as well. So I think a whole bunch of cool features came out. And I'm really looking forward to. So I'll be in Seattle in July. So keen to catch up with Justin Graham, who's been on this podcast as well. I've already booked in some time with him and a few others. See if I can catch up with Ryan as well. But yeah, we've got a great lineup coming up on the podcast over the next few months as well. So we'll try and just keep getting bigger and better guests on as we can. But we have coming on the show today, Jack Rowbotham. And so those who don't know Jack, he's really big on LinkedIn, has a huge following, started as an account exec, so basically in sales, moved to Seattle and became a program manager, marketing manager. So his career journey has been really, really fantastic, watching him, transform from one to the other and from England to the UK to America to Seattle. So it's a really interesting story as well. So looking forward to bringing Jack on the show, mate. What do you think? We should drag him in now and have a quick chat to him about his career. And he was instrumental, did he say, in coming up with the name change from Power Virtual Agent to Copilot, right? And I kind of said to him throughout the interview that maybe we got the name right first with Power Virtual Agent.
Of course you did. Anyway, so those who want to know how Jack took that, listen to that part of the podcast.
So keep listening and you'll hear how he actually took that piece of advice from me. So
fair enough. All good. But thanks to Jack for coming on. He was a great guest. And yeah, if anyone is in the community, they would know who Jack is. He's huge on LinkedIn and really helpful for partners and customers alike. Yeah, always sharing the latest news. And also there's really quirky posts as well that he comes out that could quite go viral as well. And I think we touched on one of those on the chat that we had. But I think let's roll out the red carpet. Let's bring in Jack. He's probably a big following. So hopefully everyone enjoys this chat with Jack.
All right, thanks, Matt. Hey everyone, welcome back to Powertime. I'm here joined with a very special guest today, Jack Rowbotham, who's been in the business as long as I have at Microsoft. So Matt, we've been super keen to get Jack on the podcast due to all the posting and the experience he's had and the fact that he was out in the field and then he went into product marketing. So that's really interesting as well, that journey. So Jack, maybe you want to just give us a few minutes on an introduction on you, what you do at Microsoft and your history in the last 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me both. I appreciate it. So I'm Jack Rowbotham. I'm one of the product marketing managers for Copilot Studio. So I live despite my accent, I do live in Redmond in Washington in the US. I joined Microsoft about 7 years ago now, and I was just mentioning to the team. So I joined as an intern back probably about 8 years ago, and I was working in Bing. And then I joined as a graduate, and I was working on the Dynamics 365 business for doing sales and then technical sales. Then I moved over to the Power Platform, and then I made a move all the way to marketing. So I've kind of been through all the different elements of helping our customers adopt the technology, understand the value, and now working from a core perspective, trying to get that message out from a much broader perspective and tell it in hopefully the most consistent and coherent way possible. So that's been my time. And now I specialize on Copilot Studio that I've been doing for the last 2 years, but 4 years for conversational AI in total. So it's kept me busy. Yeah.
There's a lot of things to unpack there, particularly your journey and how you got from enterprise sales and technical specialists into marketing. So I'm really keen to dig into that. But what a time to be joining Microsoft and working in Bing as well, and then going across to Copilot Studio. The impact of AI, you would have seen it right on the front line with Copilot Studio and PVA. And Matt and I joke all the time, but we probably got the name right the first time, and now it's Copilot Studio. So still got it right, but it's interesting. Power Virtual Agents was the original name for those people that don't remember. We'll just gentle reminder there when we see Copilot everywhere that it started in BizApps, which is great. So Jack, how has the last 3 years been, or whirlwind, I suppose, with AI?
Yeah, it's been insane in all honesty. So yeah, like I said, I used to work on Power Virtual Agents before Copilot Studio. And when we'd work with customers, we used to say, 9 months was an acceptable time for a project because of the time of development. It was low code, it was drag and drop. And then ChatGPT came out from OpenAI, and then, conversational AI, one, became very popular again. And two, it completely disrupted how we how we built these applications,
Yes.
like Power Virtual Agents and the old kind of the way you used to build chatbots on Azure. You'd build your own language model. You'd have to train it for each iterant and topic that you'd expect to manage. And we used to speak to our customers. They're managing thousands of topics that you'd think a customer might ask you for. And then we started to bring in the GPT models into Power Virtual Agents. We're like, wait a second, we're onto something. We're changing from building all these thousands of topics now to an agent that's just grounded in the model and can then rag over your data. And it just switched it completely to now focus less on the building, focus more on the quality of your data, and the LLM will bring that to life for you. So completely disrupted the traditional agent building for sure.
And for us in the field, we've kind of, and for the partner ecosystem, Matt, you can probably chime in around this stuff, but we kind of got this product that was great with Q&A to then, it's just taken off in the world, and a lot of our big nuance customers are now looking at that as a replacement for the chat that they were using for B2C customers. So we've done quite a few of those big deals now. Jack, it's been an amazing journey going through the whole Copilot Studio transformation with our customers and going into large language models and what they can do. I think my whole team said to transform into these conversation or intelligence people and understanding how to build these things out and so forth. So thank you for the work you've been doing in the product team and supporting us. We have, I guess, a lot of the meetings we do, we have the product team support us and really dig deep. So just a big thank you from the team. Just changing gear a little bit from a career point of view, how do you go from the field and then to Seattle and, interested on what was your decisioning around that and going into product marketing?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned as I joined as an intern and then as a graduate, I tried to be really intentional in the things that I wanted to do and got energy from. And so every part of the job that I did, I'd take at least a percentage of that I really liked and try to get that in the next job. So when I was a specialist, I liked working with customers, but where I got most of the energy was the product. So I was like, okay, how do I take that to the next role? I was like, technical specialist allows me to get hands-on, learn the demo process. And I was like, I love the product, but actually I love the strategy. How are we building this strategy? How are we telling the vision and the story? Product marketing is a great way to go. And then so I took that to the next part. So that was kind of those steps of me being really intentional in the parts I loved and the parts I didn't enjoy as much, but allow me to kind of focus and double down on those skills.
Yeah, awesome. So that journey that you went on, how long did it take for you to, I guess, really get into the role and really understand that? Because it's a fair difference, right? So for anyone who might be listening that want to go on the same journey, have you got any advice for someone that would want to transition from one role to the other one?
Yes, sales to marketing can sound quite different in terms of skill sets, but one, there's a lot of soft skills, the storytelling, the technical understanding. And I would say that any successful product marketing manager that has a background from sales can really ground themselves in the realities of where the product is, how your content actually lands, and really what customers actually want to hear. Sometimes, when you work in marketing and you've never heard the real customer sentiment of how they talk about the product, it starts to feel a real gap from reality, and then that marketing messaging doesn't really land. So that's really focus on those soft skills that then translate perfectly and give those examples. I always remember the examples when you go for the interview process. I used to just pull out projects of when I was working on hackathons for the Power Platform or helping the local BG team, the business group, deliver Power Platform at scale in the UK. And all of those were same learnings that you could then apply from a marketing perspective. So definitely focus on those.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
We've definitely done a good job marketing Copilot Studio because that's everything that all my customers want to talk about at the moment is Copilot Studio. So there's a lot of momentum, a lot of movement when it comes to that. Again, literally, the conversation has shifted so much, this whole concept of agents and all of those types of things. I guess in your role, you would hear a lot of customer success stories and stuff like that. Is there anything you can kind of share for those that are listening that obviously you can when it comes to something like that? So what are some organizations utilizing Copilot Studios for, particularly agents and autonomous agents and all of this type of stuff?
Yeah, of course. And there's so many scenarios. So I try to keep it as broad as I can. But the one thing I want everyone to take away that's listening to this right now is Copilot Studio isn't just an employee agent scenario. You could build it for your customers to serve on the website. You could build it for your suppliers to interact with you behind the scenes in maybe a supplier portal as well. So think really broad. It's not just for a certain team, like a HR team or IT team. It's a platform for you to build for your scenario. So that's the first thing to kind of understand is think about your audience and then figure out where the agent's going to go. Obviously, Matt, as you kind of mentioned, the exciting part is autonomous agents, and that's where we've been pushing the boundaries of what these agents can do. And I kind of talk about this spectrum of capability or behaviors of agents, where some retrieve and they help you get answers over your questions by doing a form of RAG. And then some agents start to do tasks for you behind the scenes, interacting with your line of business applications. And then the final one, autonomous agents, which is they're just proactively looking for signals in your systems and completing all that work for you. The 3 steps of those agent capabilities really come to life. So I'll focus on some examples for autonomous agents to see what it means, because it's a new concept for a lot of people as well. The first one is we're working with a pet retail company, and they're building out an agent to help them solve the kind of the fraud detection scenario. So a lot of customers come in and they say, hey, I bought this product, it's not working, or it's broken, or it's not to the expectation that I was looking for. And so they submit a request of an image and those sort of things. And this agent helps identify whether it's fraudulent and helps the human team process so many more scenarios. So that's one. The second one is supply discovery scenarios. So we're working with one of the partners for a scenario where an organization has high demand for supplies, but they don't know which supplier to focus on. So this agent automatically looks across all their suppliers, does a market analysis to see their revenue, their market share, all those sort of things, and then gives you a recommendation on the supplier that would be best to work with you based off those needs. So there's a spectrum of scenarios where we've seen autonomous agents thrive. It's really the most complex ones where there's a level of reasoning as well.
Yeah, completely agree. And I guess one of the things is also you can build agents for yourself and your own day-to-day role. How are you utilizing Copilot Studio to, I guess, enhance your role in what you do from a day-to-day standpoint as well?
Yes, I use a lot of the agent builder experience in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So the no code, anyone can build it in your organization ones, just because they're such quick wins and they really bring to life some scenarios. So I've got a very long agent pane, in all honesty. And one of my favorites is the legal kind of marketing content agent that I built. And I built it in about 5 minutes. And so the problem statement was, I'm a product marketer that has to write a lot of content, and I have to make sure I write it in the right way that aligns with Microsoft's brands, tones, anything else like that. And so there's a lot of laws and legislation I need to be considering when writing it. Now, put that in a human brain, there's a lot of things to think about when you're trying to write content and you want to keep the creativity going. And so all I do now, I've built this agent, it's grounded in the legal content. I send it over and it starts to give me that first step of analysis of all the legislation. Like, you need to provide substantiation, you need to do comparative, you need to avoid comparative claims and those sort of things. So saving the legal team at Microsoft having to spend lots of time for that initial first scenario of reviewing our content, and I can even be more productive. So that's one of my favorites. Or what else have I building on? Just like general product FAQs about Copilot Studio. Or, as you mentioned, a lot of people in Microsoft and outside of Microsoft want to talk about Copilot Studio. And there's only one of me, so I need an agent to scale and answer the questions that I tend to talk about all the time. So just being able to give that to all of my teams and colleagues, and they can get the same content that I'm able to use in my brain as well. So there's 2.
No, awesome. Similar to myself, I'm terrible at admin. So I'm starting to build more admin-related agents because I don't enjoy that task. So stuff like that. I enjoy having conversations with customers and the like. And I think another one I actually built myself is a licensing agent to kind of make different scenarios and licensing, because as we all know, the licensing model can be quite complex sometimes. So being able to communicate that and reiterate that to customers as well is something that we can do. Scott, similar question to yourself. How are you using agents in kind of your role?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm building agents all the time. I actually built one a few days ago to
not the
really
crypto trading one, by the way, Scott. Not that one. So,
no. Like internally, it's funny. So we have an annual leave system which is pretty aged, right? At Microsoft, you'd think it wouldn't be, but it is. Been there for the whole 8 years I've been at Microsoft, and it's really hard, if believe it or not, just to get a summary of all the people that are on leave and not. So I thought I'd just create an agent to just scan my inbox for all my approvals for my team for annual leave, and then just display that in a grid format. And then, I can easily just click. Now I can just click on a prompt, and it just comes up, shows me, all the people that I've approved for leave and what dates they're going. And then it just will automatically go and create calendar invites if I want to from that point on. So it's just a really simple thing. But I think that's the, for personal agents, I think that's the kind of use cases that we want to be able to go and create. There's this new term in the industry called vibe coding as well, where you're working with no code, low code, and pro code together to kind of create apps and create things like that. I've really felt like, I'm really getting getting into this now, because if I do have to go into any kind of JSON, you just throw it into Copilot and it will create the code for you, and then you bring it over. If it's an error, you take it backwards and forwards. But it's a very relaxing way to go and create things. So yeah, getting a lot of enjoyment in vibe coding. That's the latest term that's going on at the moment. But Jack, also interested in your LinkedIn profile. You've had huge success. You've got a lot of people following you. How did you start from zero to where you are now on your LinkedIn profile and get so many followers?
I mean, maybe right time, right place. It was an interesting one. I didn't start LinkedIn and go, you know what, I'm going to try build a massive following and then become a voice for AI and those sort of things. But so it all starts with like the motive. Why did I start originally? As I mentioned, I was in sales and I was using LinkedIn as a LinkedIn sales navigator. How do I connect with my customers? I got a brand new patch and I was like, I don't know anyone in the industry at this point. So I was trying to use it to like informally say, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing at Microsoft, and try to kind of get in contact with them. And then I started to take it more as like a content management perspective, sharing the world of Microsoft, where there's so much news coming from different products and different categories. And as a customer, the problem statement is it's pretty hard to know everything that's going on at Microsoft. And I felt like that was a gap where I could fill that in. And so as I did the technical specialist role, I felt like I could use that as just to continue to post each week about the different things that were happening. And as I made the move to the US, I think a lot of people followed me were like, oh, this guy must be doing something really cool. He's going to the US to do. So I think a lot of people got invested in myself as well, wanted to see me succeed, which was really nice. Yep. And so that got me to around 10,000 followers. And then the Power Platform Conference, the M365 Copilot launch, and the designer challenge. I don't know if you ever saw like the animate me with the dolly type models. Those were like the three break moments, I guess, for my LinkedIn, where people just started sharing, following, and doing all those things as well. So, yeah.
I remember one of your LinkedIn posts did go viral, and I think it was something, I can't remember which one it was exactly, but I know everyone was doing it as part of something that you shared some time back. And I think, again, that probably built up a lot of additional followers or something like that. But I do remember this viral sort of LinkedIn post that you set up, and then everyone was kind of following what you were doing. You touched on PPC. You attend a lot of different events. What's it like being at these events? What are the sort of conversations that you're having with customers and partners and all of these types of stuff? Because PPC, what other events do you also attend as well?
Yeah, the Power Platform Conference is very near to my heart. It was the first community conference that Microsoft kind of supported and helped them scale. So it's a third-party conference that Microsoft has supported, essentially. And so that's been a brilliant one, just to see the community really thrive and have this central place where they can share their learnings, their insights. But I love the depth. I love the people just really want to get into the details about the licensing, the complexities of the product, and really shape it based off their needs. So that's been a really exciting one. There's a lot more events coming up around like the Microsoft 365 space, agents in general being specialized conferences as well. So I plan to attend those in the future as well. But it just really grounds me in where we are from an industry perspective, because someone like myself, I'm in Redmond, and all I do and live and breathe are agents and AI. And customers, not all customers are there at where we are, at the precipice of AI and using the latest models. Some of them are still just getting started building their strategy. So that's been a big learning for me as well, being at these events.
So Jack, how have you been able to face into the pace of change? Really interested in that. Obviously the marketing messages, the new products coming out that would change your strategy, on a fairly regular basis. How do you deal with that at Microsoft at the moment? Because I know out in the field we're really struggling with that pace of change.
Incredibly fast. And just to give an example, like the last couple of years, I saw a post from Ethan Mollick, I don't know if you know him, one of the AI lecturers. And even he said that struggling to keep, as someone that focuses on this space, even he's struggling to keep up with the amount of developments, whether it's a big corporation announcing a product, whether it's a startup. There's just so much out there. So the reality is, for everyone listening, you're not left out. You're not missing anything. People could be a week behind. People could be 2 days behind, and there's still something different or changing. So that's like don't feel like you're missing out. There's a lot going on, but sometimes you don't need to know everything. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be, I guess, dealing with that level of change. You're right. You have to be so adaptable and being able to pivot to the industry terms. For example, we used to talk about agents from a Power Virtual Agent side. The definition of agents now in the industry is autonomous. So it's just constantly shifting, and the technology is moving as well. So having to talk the language of the customers is pretty challenging. And you see from a Microsoft perspective, we're moving incredibly fast, faster than we've usually done as well. Like we're bringing out features and enhancements and innovations nearly every month right now, specifically for Copilot Studio. So you can just start to see how we're also keeping up with the latest frontier models and everything else. So it's a big mind shift, a mindset shift for all of us, but hopefully we're dealing well. And then the second part is like, how do we make sure our customers are keeping up with that as well? So we're taking you along on that journey. We're not just saying announcement next. So I think grounding in adoption resources and making sure, I think that's why I built the spectrum of agents, just to say, it doesn't matter where you sit across that spectrum. You don't always have to be at the end on the next level of the tech. You might be building retrieval-based agents that are just proving value for you. And you might progress as you get ready and your organization builds out that AI muscles. I think that's really important to just keep making sure that everyone's on that same path.
Yeah, and I can't help but feel like we're at the beginning of the journey with the agents because, as good as the technology is right now, you still feel like it's still got a ways to go before it's going to, completely replace, I don't know, an assistant kind of role that you would have. Go book a flight, go, schedule these things or do my expenses. So I feel like we've still got a ways to go, but what's got everyone in the team excited is the scaling laws, right? So if what we're seeing today is 10 times better in 12 months, that's a phenomenal increase. Future looking, where do you see the role of Copilot Studio? And I know we talk a lot about it's the new UI for AI. I think that's the term. I don't know if you came up with that, but it's a great term. It is. Well, where do you see the role of this, forward looking now over the next few years?
Yeah, I think so. I did have the pleasure of working on the Copilot and agents narrative, so that was good fun telling that story on the differences and the value.
Awesome.
The way I describe it for Microsoft specifically is that we've got agents that help enhance your personal productivity. They help you save time. They help you build agents in the context of your work, like Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that's kind of the democratization of agents to end users. And then we get into the real exciting stuff where it's agents redesigning business processes and rethinking how they're being used. And that's kind of where we're getting with these kind of net new custom agents that you build, and really very exciting. So we're coming across this spectrum. You're quite right. We are coming to the point where we start to think, how are these agents going to help us do our jobs even more effective and even do elements of our jobs? Yeah, so I think one, being able to handle even more complex tasks. I mean, the agents are already starting to handle some of these more advanced scenarios anyway, but as the advanced reasoning models come into play, you're just going to see more and more scenarios. Research was a great use case that we're seeing in the industry. We're looking at how we can build agents for RFP scenarios. I'm sure all of you being in sales is a big scenario, a big problem statement. And there's so much variability, so many factors to consider. So that's the first one. And then an interesting theme that I'm seeing even more on, which is, I'm trying to think about how I describe this in the simplest way. When we used to build conversational AI 4 years ago, you'd build all this rules-based logic, and then you'd have some generative as kind of a fallback. And now it's switched to the adverse, where now 80% is generative, open-ended, ambiguous scenarios. And now we're starting to think, well, how do we provide that level of control for those scenarios where they're even more critical? And so we're starting to think about how we continue to use like topics and Power Automate flows in the context of our agents, so you get that perfect balance between non-deterministic and deterministic. And I really think that's going to be a theme here, where customers don't just want to point it to an LLM and go, off you go, like follow my instructions, just answer questions as needed. There's going to be times, for example, when you build an agent for your customers on a website, if they ask about order management, follow these 10 steps every time, rather than an LLM dynamically generate. So I think that balance will be really exciting. And then the last thing is like oversight and visibility. We got to know what these agents are doing and how they're performing, and then how you have that kind of teach and train motion and making sure they're getting more relevant and personalized to that process. So those are kind of three things at the top of mind for me to where I think agents are going to continue to go.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When I think about, the B2C communications, it's really there to do a job, right? At the moment, our customers, they're not trying to have a conversation about the weather. They're trying to, how do I solve a problem for my customers, whether it be get access to a product or order something or fix a problem that they might have engaging with the customer. So that's a really structured response, right? And, we're looking at the chat channel as kind of a deflection so they don't go to voice, although AI voice bots now are getting really popular and we're doing a lot of work around that as well. So I think that's really interesting. But there's also this element of, well, like if I use ChatGPT, I actually did couple of days ago, right? I made a mistake. I booked a flight in one airport and actually we landed at another airport. So it's kind of in the middle of Melbourne's Melbourne's really weird. It's got two airports, Avalon and Tullamarine, and I'm flying into one and flying out of the other. And of course, my wife gave me a real hard time over making that mistake. I don't even know how I made that mistake considering how many flights I do, but it happened. Anyway, so I went on to ChatGPT and said, can you estimate the average time it would take and how much it might cost me in an Uber so I can just kind of park at the office and just Uber to each one. So that was a really good use case for ChatGPT. But what was interesting about it was like a conversation now. So in the car, I just hit the conversational button and I just go. So one of the things I've been talking to my team about, Jack, is how exciting is this for direct marketing? Because if you're having a conversation with Copilot and it's asking you questions, all of a sudden we can get to know more about our customers and we can store that data in Dataverse and then we can use it to create marketing journeys or maybe we can, have additional products that they're interested in. So I kind of see the evolution of Copilot B2C into marketing, I don't think that journey's even begun, but I'm really excited about that. I think in the future you'll have almost like an AI assistant that is kind of recording some of this stuff and helping customers on that journey. So yeah, so that piece is really exciting to me. What are your thoughts around that? Do you think we'll get there? Do you think we'll get to that?
Yeah, I always describe that's one component of an agent kind of space or framework, I guess, like the memory element. It's that when you speak to it remembers who you are, the conversations you've had, your preferences. And like Microsoft's consumer Copilot is doing that today, right? It already has that level of personalization that you can toggle off and on. And it's like, hey, Jack, how's your child? It remembers that you've had a child. So it's just becoming more personal as needed. And so like when we bring that, you're right, to the customer experience, when you're trying to serve agents serving your customers on the front end, I always remember working on this exciting demo that one of our technical specialists built for cruises, and how it could then just personalize every step of the way as you went to each different port. It'd give you the right services, the closest beach, depending on what you needed to know. So it understood the concept of the location, the time, and any other relevant personal things that you needed to know to have the best experience possible. So yeah, we're already seeing that level of personalization. It's only going to get better.
It's kind of the memory is the key to that, right? Can it remember for a long time? And I guess this is the power of our platform, right? So if we can store this stuff in what we call Dataverse, for those that don't know, Dataverse, that's our central kind of data repository for all of our applications that access information. If we can kind of store this in this customer 360, then I think that's a really exciting thing moving forward as well for us out in the field to talk to customers about. So, yeah.
I always remember like 4 years ago, you go chat to an airport chatbot and you'd ask it a question about something and then you'd refresh and the conversation's gone. Doesn't remember you. You've got to now explain that problem again. And like this is the challenge that people had with conversational AI, is that when you traditionally used to interact with it, you were usually frustrated or angry because the product or service hadn't worked. So you're already angry, and then you need a first-class experience, and then you get that. And so it's really starting to reframe people's expectations of what a good chat experience is.
I think IVR is going to be a big one. Like I say, I'm on the phone to contact centers, and we're building a lot of autonomous contact centers at the moment. That's one of our big plays that what we're doing at the partner. But I see that as a massive win. I was on the phone on hold for 45 minutes yesterday. You know what I mean? Switching across all these different sort of agents and stuff like that. There was no contextualized history about what we had spoken about. So for me, IVR and creating sort of voice agents is going to be something that I see as a big sort of trend moving forward. Like Scott said, driving in the car, triggering off your own agents to automate some of your processes and stuff like that. You could be walking a street in a busy city, being able to communicate while you've got your AirPods in, all that kind of stuff is something that I'm going to say as sort of a future trend. Is that kind of what you're seeing as well with some of your customers? This IVR is going to be quite big moving forward.
Well, that's a new voice DCMS.
Yeah, that's
in Copilot Studio.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we've been working with like the nuance IVR technologies as well, and how that comes together eventually as well. So yeah, all of those scenarios of being able to speak and call an agent and have a level of generative responses real time, thanks to the models getting even faster, as Scott kind of mentioned, because of the scaling laws, it's only going to get better. And when you're calling an agent, it's got to be quick. It's got to be concise, because no one wants to sit there waiting for 10 seconds and then feeling like you're just getting a response that's not perfect for you. So yeah, we're definitely seeing that momentum as customers continue to adopt it for customer support.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're starting to also see a blur between the lines between IVR and chat. It's kind of becoming the same thing now. And we don't really recognize it as any different in Copilot Studio. It's just another chat that you're configuring, except it's voice enabled. So I think that was an excellent go-to-market idea. One thing I have noticed, though, as we talk to our customers, is a traditional way that someone would configure these IVR systems is very different to Copilot Studio. So we're finding that we have to spend a lot of time with customers helping them understand what Copilot Studio is and what it can do and how they can leverage the technology. And they're super excited when they see, the difference. It's like nothing they've seen before. So, yeah, kudos to the team for the way they've rolled that out. I think that's been really, really good. So, yeah.
It is exciting. The modalities and the channels that you can experience these agents on. Scott, you kind of mentioned like the Copilot as the UI for AI, for chat-based experiences for employees. I'll demystify that very quickly, but essentially it means imagine where you have a world of agents that you're working with. Let's say you have 10 of them for each of your different scenarios through the day. You kind of want that single pane of glass to be able to experience all those different agents. And Copilot will be that orchestrator to help you experience those. And so that's kind of like that one modality. But the reality is, you mentioned you call these up with IVR, and we're doing so many more scenarios where you can upload a document, upload an image, tell me what's going on in each of those as well. And then autonomous agents kind of throws the chat pane out the window, right? Where it's just looking now for triggers and events based off your applications, and then begins to work. And it will speak to a human as needed, but it really starts to shift and put the chat pane to the side and think, actually, it's going to start thinking for itself based off the instructions that the human provides. So really seeing a whole spectrum of scenarios.
Yeah, I've got a good explanation for some of this stuff as well. So some of my talk tracks with customers, I'm using the Despicable Me analogy. So Gru is my Copilot. It talks like Gru. It walks like Gru, all of those kind of stuff. It responds like Gru. And then you have the minions, which are the agents that Gru's orchestrating to take over the world and stuff like that. So I've got a couple of cool slides that I pull up to customers, and they can seem to kind of resonate with sort of that conversation as well. But I'm a bit of a kid at heart as well. So that whole concept of Gru and the minions and the agents, that kind of works well in trying to explain or demystify that whole concept of what an agent is and what Copilot is moving forward.
I think that's the key right now. So I still find a lot of confusion out there, even within our own product set. When do you use Azure, when do you use Power, when do you use Modern Work? And so I think, your job effectively, Jack, is really important over the next 2 years, because our customers still don't have clarity on what tool to use when and how to use it and what the agents mean for them. And so I think we'll be doing a lot of this kind of demystifying over the next year or two in the marketing realm. That's kind of my gut feel. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think it's always what's right for the customer is always the answer. But you're right. There's so much variables about like who's making the agent that usually dictate which product path you go, and how do you want to host the data and the infrastructure and all those good things. So yeah, lots of variables, and that is my job, is to try simplify that as much as possible. And I say if you have to have a 8-step decision matrix on deciding which agent you go down, then my job, I've been failing. So I've got to simplify it as much as possible for everyone. Yeah.
So Jack, just a couple of questions to wrap it up. If you had any advice for anyone that wanted to, do what you've done, so go from I guess get on a plane, fly to Seattle, and work in Microsoft under product marketing, or even just in the product team, how would they get started? How would they think about a career change doing that?
Yeah, I think the first one is communicate your plan. And most of the time, people don't get to where they want to be because they don't tell anyone. They bundle it up, they have it on a Word doc, but there's no use if you're only keeping it to maybe yourself and your manager. So tell people what your ambitions are. Look for those extracurricular projects that can get that visibility. If you're outside Microsoft, is it an ambassador program? Is it a MVP status? Internal Microsoft, there's so many chances for you to work on those different projects as well. So being proactive, build that network and stakeholders, and see who can be that sponsor that sees the value in you to kind of take you to that next step to where you want to be. But I think those are probably two pieces of advice I'd take.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. So, and I'm always amazed at a lot of people that want a new career but don't actually tell anyone or communicate or even apply for roles. So, yeah, it's great advice. Awesome.
Yeah. And the last thing that comes to mind actually as well is when you see a job description, you don't have to meet 100% of it to be able to apply for the job.
Yes.
Like, people invest in you, and if they know that you've got the capability. Like when I joined the product marketing team, They knew that I didn't have product marketing experience, but they knew I had 70-80% of capabilities based off my sales experience. So it's just giving them the confidence, and they invest in people that can learn their skills as opposed to someone that's the perfect tick on every single box. So just go for it, make most of it and see what you can get. I wish everyone luck if they want to do it. Definitely push yourself and try.
That's awesome advice. Any final questions, Matt?
I guess without giving too much away, where do you kind of see the next 12 to 24 months of this agentic future? Obviously sharing as much as you can and not giving us too much away, but where do you kind of see the next 12 to 24 months going with this? Like you say, the rate of change and rate of pace that this stuff is adopting is incredible, yeah? So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of mentioned that the reasoning models is already one element where the models just continue to get more advanced, that they can handle more complex scenarios. So I think that's an obvious one there.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I think it's more about now organizations need to start building a platform and a center of excellence to now allow the organization to thrive with the agent technologies that are coming out.
Yeah.
So building out that governance model of how you want to distribute agent enablement across your employees with maybe agent builder that's no code, having a special expertise of collaborative fusion development building in the middle, the pro devs doing it there, and then building the right oversight, reporting and controls for those agents as well. So I think it's that scale motion now. It's like, okay, most of the technology's there. It's only going to get better in terms of performance, reliability. Yeah. But now it's like, let's build out that strategy and start to see a lot of value in your agents.
Yeah, I agree. We had Bert Vins on the other day talking about the whole concept of an AI COE, and I completely agree. That's kind of the next foray is coming, because if you don't adopt this technology now, you're just going to be left behind by your competitors. So I completely agree. Now's the time to get going, and now's the time to get started. So it's a good final word.
Yeah.
So,
it's a good time to experiment, isn't it? That's what I see right now. Is a lot of experimentation and the technology. We had a comment dropped a few days ago in one of our team meetings around, it's not quite ready yet for some things that we want to get done, and it's true, it's not, but it's moving so fast that it probably is in a year. So I think getting your mind around the concept and what an agent is, what an autonomous agent is, and what its capabilities could be, and how to do governance and things like now's the time. I think this is the year of experimenting with agents, because next year I think it's going to go off like a rocket ship. That's my gut feel. So, but Jack, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. It was fantastic having you on, and it'd be great to get you on again in 12 months' time and drill a little bit deeper into some of the stuff that we've spoken about today and where it's at and the future of Copilot Studio and autonomous agents, which is exciting.
Excellent. Yeah, sounds good. Look forward to it. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Hey there, just a quick reminder, everything we share on this podcast reflects our personal opinions and not those of Microsoft or any other organisation. If you're enjoying the show, we'd be thrilled if you could hit that follow button and leave us a review. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you great content.